I love it.
All right, here we are.
Are we here?
Yes.
We live?
Yes.
Did we make it? Hello, everybody in Facebook world. Thank you so much for joining us on the Insiders with Liz and Amber, brought to you by Giant TV. Today we are pretty pumped because we have an incredible guest joining us on the show. The host of APTN TV show Spirit Talker, the incredibly gifted Mr. Shawn Leonard is joining us today. Shawn is a heart-centered Aboriginal Indigenous Mi'kmaq spirit talker, aka psychic medium. Shawn presently lives in Millbrook First Nation, Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia, Canada, and has been working as a professional in this field for over 20 years. Taking an authentic approach to the spirit world in his personal readings, live events, workshops, and teaching Spirit Talker Tribe, along with radio and TV appearances. At just 16 years old, about 1 year after losing his father to a massive heart attack, Shawn received a visitation and message from his father in spirit, stating, "We all have a purpose, and one day you will help people understand their lives and bridge the gap between the physical world and the spirit world." His gift allows him to help people all over the world as he communicates with departed loved ones, spirits, and guides. The insights they share help us better understand our journey here on Earth and provide healing for many people's struggles with grief. Shawn is a proud Aboriginal Mi'kmaq person who works with spirit to heal hearts. Fittingly, a respected Mi'kmaq elder gifted him with the name White Eagle Spirit Talker. He is the author of The Language of Spirits and the founder of Spirit Talker Tribe online courses. And without further ado, welcome, Shawn, to the Insiders. We're so happy to have you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's really nice to be here.
Welcome. Yes, I am very excited to talk to you today and share with everybody everything that you've been up to and how you help bring connection to spirit and help heal. And yes, that heart-centered chakra and healing all of that through spirit.
Absolutely. I mean, spirit's with us all. And I think there's people that, come into the world to help people and serve people in a way to understand that connection, that we're not disconnected, we're actually connected, and that we're all spirit having a human experience. Mm-hmm. That our loved ones are really not that far away from us. They're literally just thoughts away. And and I think as people, through validation and through that language that I call, which I'll hold up my book, which is the language of spirit. Yeah. I think it's a language that is in us all. I don't think it's like special or special people have an ability for it. I think we're born with it, and most people have forgotten that it's part of us. And it's the remembering through life, through different experiences. And for myself, it's been quite a journey. And because I've kind of learned from spirit. Spirit's been teaching me everything along the way. And I'm really grateful for all of my experiences, good and bad, because they've taught me some incredible life lessons, but also incredible connections to spirit, and that it's not some far off place. It's everywhere around us.
Exactly. So true. Well, I have a question that's been, my husband actually asked me to ask you this, believe it or not.
Sure.
So I discovered that you're from Cole Harbour.
Yes.
And so I need to know, is there something magical in the water there? Because Cole Harbour is responsible for some super talented people, including yourself, right? We've got Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, we've got Mike Clattenburg, who's the director, writer, and creator of the Trailer Park Boys. I mean, it's a pretty epic place, clearly.
It is, yeah. There's a lot of people that come out of that location. Although I didn't grow up in Cole Harbour. I was born and raised just outside of Cole Harbour, but this is where I reside now. Maybe I felt if I moved there, it would help my mojo again.
Right? I think we should move there, Amber. What do you think?
We should all go there.
Right?
Exactly. It sounds like a pretty good place to live. So these guys are coming there. You can't beat them, join them, eh? So
I love it.
Right. Oh my goodness. So Shawn, what inspired you to write your book, The Language of Spirit? Was this something you set out to do as a project, or did you was this part of your plan?
Well, through life, through different experiences and just telling countless stories of, how I've understood what I've learned through my years. And I thought, well, what a better way to reach people than to put something out there rather than, telling these stories as an individual, but for everybody to read it at their own, space and place and such. And I can, put all these stories together in a sequence of events. I mean, I have probably thousands more, but I figured these ones would really, help people understand certain concepts. And I felt it was Spirit's intention. I just play along, really. I mean, I wouldn't have these experiences if they weren't meant to be shared. If I was taught something, it's not an egotistical thing of, this is mine, he. It's like for everybody. It's meant to be shared. We're all evolving as people. Mm-hmm. And I think with the disconnection from our spirit for so long, and I mean, no offense to anybody that is connected to religion anyway, but it spoke to people for many years. And I think we're at a place, kind of a crossroads per se, that we're kind of looking outside of like the typical structure, but we're looking within ourselves for something deeper and meaningful and connected. And it's not something that comes from a specific book or a specific place, but something we're seeking within ourselves. And I feel like that knowledge, that wisdom that has kind of revealed itself to me, it was meant to be shared. It was meant to be put out into the world.
That's so important. I work a lot with people who are trying to connect to their spirit, who've maybe lost their path as well and don't know how to connect, and they're really in that kind of ego-based or what society is saying. So what would you say to the people who are having trouble finding that connection to their spirit and really listening to their soul, their spirit, and helping them along their path? What would you say to them?
Well, for me, it started with grief, unfortunately, like going through some hard times. Like I was happy in my life playing music and as a normal child that would be in life. But then I lost my dad. That made me kind of think about life differently. And it was about a year later that I had a like extremely profound visitation from him, that I saw the reality of things in a sense. And that moment kind of shifted me. But even then, I still went about my merry life and never put too much weight into what my dad said about serving people or helping people understand, bridging the worlds and such. And I got married and had a couple of girls who live in Calgary today, and they're 25 and 21, Mackenzie and Sienna. And I started to walk a more spiritual path. And that's where I was saying, I was raised with some indigenous practices, but a lot of Catholicism mixed in there. And the Christian aspect of Catholicism really wasn't speaking to me anymore. So I decided to walk my own spiritual path in life. And that included prayer and just having, not in the prayer in the sense of saying, Our Father or whatever, or Hail Mary. It was more about just speaking from my heart and having a connection and having that communication with spirit itself, and not feeling that I had to go through someone else to do it, that it was a personal experience. So I started to pray, and things started to happen. And it was kind of eerie, actually, because it kind of made me realize I was being heard, that people were listening to me. And it wasn't like, make me, I'm praying for $1 million or, whatever. It was just, help me with this or help me with that, or help that person. And I have like so many stories where I could kind of tell you. I mean, I think the most profound one that really got my attention was, I have a story in my book. It's about a fellow I used to work with in Calgary named Conrad. He was a great guy. And I worked with him making office furniture for many years, and at this company called Hayworth International. And so he gave me a program, because I was doing work as a psychic, way back in the day, but it was fairly new to me. And anyhow, he left the work, I left the work, I was doing something else, and I didn't know where he worked anymore. And my computer was doing all kinds of weird things, hence the computer stuff. Sometimes we
don't know anything about that, Shawn. I don't know what you're talking about.
It might be a good story to throw in the mix here. Yeah. But I had a vibe that, hey, maybe I need to buy a new computer. I think my computer might be like gonna give out here, because it was doing weird stuff, right? So I talked to my then partner and spouse, and she said, well, we can't really afford a computer. And she says, well, see what you can do. And anyway, the next day I woke up, and I don't know if you've ever heard the blue screen of death, but pretty much it was just blue. Nothing else would come on my computer except this blue screen.
Oh, geez.
And so I then talked to her and I said, well, I need to go get a computer because in order for me to serve people, I definitely need to have a computer. Mm-hmm. And she said, okay, fine. So I went out and bought a computer. At that point, I was like only doing readings on like weekends here and there and a few nights here and there. And it was very early for me. And so anyhow, I got the computer, and this is like, you're talking, I think it was 2001. This is 19 years ago or so. And I turned it on. I'm so happy I got this computer. And I realized that there's no programs on this computer, because back in the day, there was no Facebook.
No.
There was no, you had to have a program to check your email. Everything was like a pop server. And I even had a program that was called Front Page that created my website. And I was using this program, Front Page, and I realized I don't have a copy. So I went and priced it out. I just bought like an $800 computer, and I tell my wife, I said, I'm going to need to go buy this program. She goes, well, how much is it? And I said, well, it's about $700 or $800, which was a lot of money back in that time for me and my family. Mm-hmm. She says, no, sorry, we can't afford that. You just bought a brand new computer. She goes, where did you get it from? I said, well, I got it from this fellow named Conrad. And I said, so I looked everywhere to get a hold of Conrad. Again, no Facebook. I'm going through the yellow pages, the white pages, because he left because he started a construction company. And I thought, I'm going to find him somehow. And Calgary's like 1 million+ people.
Yeah. And
he didn't even live in Calgary. He lived in some little town outside of Calgary where I was living at the time. And I could not find him. And so I had just given up. So I forgot, I'm connected to Spirit. Why don't I ask Spirit? So I prayed. I just said, my guides, my angels, my ancestors, Creator, I need your help. This guy used to work with Conrad. If there's some way that you can connect me with him, I really need this program that he has so that I could get, to do my business. I said, if you want me to serve people, I need your help. Mm-hmm. But you need to work it out so that I can find him. Mm-hmm. And that was it. And I let it go. And that was like Friday, my computer crashed. Saturday, I got the computer. And then I realized I couldn't do anything on Sunday. So I called my brother, who lived in Calgary as well. And I said, I need your help because I'm building a fence. And the only 2 things I need to do is hang the front gates on the front of the house. I said, James, could you show up and give me a hand? And he said, well, I'll going out with the boys tonight. I can't guarantee anything, but I'll be there. What time do you need me? I said, well, 10 would be good. He goes, oh, I'll do my best. So I wasn't hopeful. And so I go outside and I'm waiting. It's like 10:15. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, well, my brother definitely isn't coming. How am I going to hang these gates on the front yard? And so I'm wedging boards underneath. I'm putting hinges on. I'm trying to line it all up to make this work. And I'm figuring it out. And then somebody pulls up in front of my house and beeps the horn and says, excuse me, can you help me out? I'm a bit lost. I'm looking for this address. And I turn around, it was Conrad.
No, I have chills.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, oh my God, Conrad. I'm like, what? I was speechless. I said, what are you doing here? He goes, well, this morning I got a call for a puppy and it's up in this area, but I can't find the address, but it's on the street. He says, I didn't know you lived up here. And I said, this is the weirdest thing ever. I said, Conrad, if anybody says you're not coming from a good source, tell them they're full of it, because absolutely there's somebody guiding you good for sure.
Yeah.
I said, I prayed that somehow you would show up in my life yesterday. And I didn't know how that was going to happen, but here you are. I said, you remember that program you lent me back in the day? And he says, I do. And he says, I'm actually working downtown tomorrow. Would you be able to come down and get it? I said, I'll come down and get it.
Wow.
So, and that's just one story, but that's kind of where I started to become more uniquely aware that the words or the prayers, the things, my conversations with Spirit itself were being heard. This is not random. We're in a city of 1 million+ people. And I look at things in a very unique way. If you think about it like this, that, my brother, I had to call my brother. He had not to show up. I had to be outside doing the front gates of my house, or I wouldn't even be outside for him to see me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the little things that had to align to make that happen is like him getting a call about a puppy on the street. It's just, it's untangible. It's like, it's mind blowing. And I mean, and that, like, I pray more and more, and, you know, it was just got crazy, literally. And I realized that, you know, people were listening. And that gave me that faith, that trust, that knowledge that, you know, there's actually people, there's something there greater, whether you want to call it your guides, your ancestors, you know, the spirit world, or I think it's really irrelevant, because we're all connected to the same source.
Yes.
And they know when you speak to them, whoever you're directing to, even if it was, you know, Jesus, for God's sakes, but I mean, they hear you.
Yeah.
And I mean, doesn't mean that everything you pray for is going to show up in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes the answers to our prayers is no.
Yes. Yeah.
Or not, maybe not right now. It's,
Yeah.
you know, just be patient, wait a little while, right? But sometimes things just show up like right away. And it's happened more than once in my life. And I forget, as we all forget, we all come from the same source, and that we're connected. And, you know, there's a relationship that takes place when you communicate, where you speak to it, and it responds to those words, those requests, those. And so that's where I would tell people to start.
Okay.
Oh
my
It's
goodness.
having a conversation, speaking with spirit, and speaking out loud too. Like, because I think we've been taught in a way to pray, like it's like an internal thing that we keep silent, and we're almost like scared to let our voice out. Use your voice, speak from your heart, because if you want your words heard, speak from your heart center. And really, you know, go up by yourself somewhere in the middle of the woods where no one else is around, just you, the trees, the creator, the birds, and everything, and just speak from there. And that way you don't have any like inhibitions of thinking, okay, well, what if somebody hears me? Or what if somebody thinks I'm crazy? Let go of those thoughts and that beliefs, because those are limiting. And that's why I tell people to maybe go to a special place that is just by themselves, because then they'll speak freely and from that space without doubt or fear. And the next step I would tell people is you know, one is to request or put, you know, words out there, but meditate. Because the biggest part of connecting is invitation, because I mean, people aren't going to just show up at your door. I mean, sometimes they may, but it's kind of random. But invite spirit in your life. Invite, you know, spirit to connect, to communicate to you. You're available for that I'm, you know, I'm here. But if you never create space in your mind to actually create a void for them to insert something, you're not going to be, your mind's too busy. You know, if you're thinking about, you know, lunch and school and this or that, I mean, when doing this work, it's about creating small spaces in your mind, in your awareness, that you can then receive. And I feel like there's like even a part to even training, in the sense of like seeing things like through clairvoyance, and being able to understand what it means to see, and holding images in your mind, whether your eyes are open or your eyes are closed. And the more apt that you do these little exercises and practices of actually seeing things in your mind, and then one day you'll be with somebody, and if you through your prayers and your meditations and creating space and holding images in your mind, you'll be talking to somebody, and then boom, something will just flash in there, and you're like, that's so strange. Why did I see that? And then you'll be talking to somebody, and somebody's going, oh my God, this, you know, this makes sense to me. And you're like, what? Because you know, it's this unlike knowingly thing that just happens. It's like spirit says, oh, they've invited me in. They've learned to create small moments of space for me to get in there, so that we can then receive information through clairvoyance or clairsentience or clairaudience or claircognizance. And then when you work with that and validate and trust, and that's that next step, is trust. And when you step out of the comfort zone thinking you have to know everything, that you trust whatever comes through, and not thinking that it always has to be literal, that sometimes it can be figurative in some way. And that we don't have to know everything, but we have to be the medium, the middle person, the trust those messages that flow through and come through. And when you give them with your heart and without fear, you're going to know that you're more right than wrong. And even when you're wrong, it might be just you're not looking at it in the right way. And then you'll adapt the way you can kind of work with that energy next time you see it. And then it's just like what I say is like with spirit, it's like following a little trail of breadcrumbs. And you might not see the whole journey of what they're trying to tell you, but you see this and you validate, you see that, you validate. After you see three things, you're like, okay, I know where they're going with this. I know the message. I know what they're trying to get me to say to you. And I mean, profound healing can take place because of this work. And I mean, being part of the process is a gift. It's very unique and special. And because it's not that I walk around psychic about myself all the time. We aren't. We obviously, I've been divorced twice. I've had some horrible experiences. I feel like they're all teaching us something. They're all our greatest teachers in our life.
Yes.
But it's what we learn from these things and adapt and put into our ability to serve others or help others heal. I think actually psychics sometimes have a harder go of it sometimes, just because we need the wisdom to understand how we can serve others. If we don't have that wisdom, it's hard to draw from experience.
I 100% agree, and I resonate that a lot.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more as well. I'm confident that the challenges and strife that we experience are absolutely a part of our journey. Like you said, if we didn't experience these things, how could we see it from another person's perspective?
Yeah.
We need to have these awarenesses and challenges. I'm confident of that. So I'm always telling the folks I'm teaching to remember that things that are happening to us aren't happening to us, are happening for us, which is basically what you're saying. Couldn't agree more.
And I mean,
Fascinating.
the other part is like when you look at your life, just shift it in a way that you look at it from love and not fear. That you approach people from love and not fear. Because I mean, you think about it, I mean, all of us, I mean, you're my sisters. We all come from the same source. We come from the same creator. We're all brothers and sisters in life.
Yeah.
And people are coming to you as family in a sense that, and we have this word in Mi'kmaq, and I think all indigenous languages have, we say Amsit Nogama, which means all of my relations. That when we talk or we do a ceremony, we always validate the connection between us all. And that, if we are serving our family and that we don't judge our family, because I mean, if you think about this, like if our children have done something that would be horrible, if they stole, if they cheated on their spouse or partner, whoever, I mean, we may be disappointed in them, but we would not stop loving them. And that's how we need to see people. And if we can see them as being human and that we do make mistakes, and that's how we learn by correcting our mistakes in life in some sense, that everybody's learning through life, and some make some more harder mistakes than others. I have people that contact me from prison because they watch the show. And no matter what they've done or they've gone through, I have no judgment for any person, because in the end, they wouldn't be watching my show, Spirit Talker, if they weren't looking for something within themselves. They wouldn't come to a person like myself or you as well, as because they're looking for some guidance in life. There is light in there somewhere. And they're looking for their way through their hard times, hardship. And some people are struggling with a lot more harder things than others. And but we approach them from love. We approach all the messages from love, and if you operate from that space, there's nothing you could ever say or do that would be incorrect or wrong, because you're operating that space. And that's how spirit, and that's when that strengthens that connection to spirit, is that they see that you are operating from love and light, and not fear, and that builds that connection even greater.
Yeah, it's hard right now because there are a lot of people that are operating in fear. And, I think, I can just, and Liz, I'm sure you and I have talked about this too, is we're having conversations with people even just randomly, and they're almost wanting us to feed into that fear-based conversation. So that's what they need in order to have that kind of feed that sense of it, almost either soothes them or something. We don't operate in that. The three of us are not operating in that. So we need to operate out of love. And we know through love, it will give us what we need at the time we need it. And in that energy vibration is higher. So you are able to get better, almost more out of your experience. So even if something seems negative, you're still able to, out of love and that higher vibration, pull something more positive out of it. But I think there's that, sense of people needing us to feed the fear, which will create more fear worldwide collectively, where there's that imbalance right now where people are saying, no, 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 more love, more peace, more love, you know? So hopefully, you know, they'll know out of experience just by trying some of these tips that you've mentioned to them, which were amazing, because I think people need to see it spelled out like that. If they're practicing this and able to get that validation through those things coming up, you know, through the people showing up when they're asking them, or the signs that they need, they'll see that the love is the way to go. The love and the higher vibration will bring us what we need, and we won't focus and dwell in that fear.
Yeah. I mean, there's, you know, I don't want to get too deep into spirit. I mean, there's spirit in the light, and there is spirit that are earthbound too sometimes. And there's not a ton of them around. It's not like on TV where you see there's a ghost here and there and everywhere, and it's all like darkness and everything. They're just people.
Yeah.
They're all people. And I mean, in life, there's people and different levels of energy. And in spirit, there's spirit in different levels of energy. There's people that are in the higher, in the light, that they're surrounded by that unconditional love. But there's occasionally, sometimes you may run into somebody in a home. They may be still hanging around, and they're still clinging, even in the spirit world, they're clinging to fear. Mm-hmm. And if I meet a person like that, I still love them unconditionally. Yeah. I serve them unconditionally. I will try to help them without fear.
Yeah.
And with spirit, I think there's the other side of things too, where people think, okay, well, there's like, this unfortunately has been conditioned to us through religion in some sense, where there's like heaven and hell or whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's literally no person running around with a pitchfork. There's just people. Exactly. And some are stuck in energy in some way, whether it's more closer to the earth or in a higher level vibration, right? And you can still serve those people too by sending them love, lighting some smudge, you know, saying a prayer for them, and trying to help them move into a higher vibration, just like people in physical life. And yeah, I mean, I've experienced like so many spirits. It's you know, my life is like insane, like in the sense, if I was to go talk to a psychologist, which I've actually had like 10 psychologist clients, just so you know.
Yes.
So, I mean, but you know, somebody might say that you're like schizophrenic or whatever, but you know, it's silliness. We're all energy.
Yes.
We absolutely are all energy, whether you're in form or in spirit form, we're still all energy. And I know personally, I can record people talking to me sometimes. So it's pretty normal. It's just, they're people.
Yes.
Let go of fear. And just, if you can love everybody, your brothers and sisters in the world unconditionally, you should be able to love spirit the same, and let go the fear of connection to it. And when you embrace that, and when you're open to that, and then you only come from that higher level energy, then there's nothing stopping, nothing blocking you, and it just unfolds in your life in an incredible way.
I love the way you refer to spirit as people. I've never done that before, and you're waking me up to that today. So I have to say thank you for that, because that's obviously what they are. They are people. And I think that's going to raise awareness to a lot of folks. I know that the number one challenge I have with my students is always fear. That's the number one challenge, is getting over that fear, because they're so, conditioned by TV and movies of scary ghosts and stuff like that, and the devil and all of this crap, right? Which, I cannot hammer it home enough that there's no, I don't feel that there's anything evil. I feel like that there are people who have done evil acts, as we can see it as evil, but I've never come across a spirit that I couldn't handle, never. And I've never really, I always tell people you're much stronger than spirit, and you're there to support them. So it's I love that you use that term, because it creates a connection, because they're people. I love that. Thank you, Shawn.
If you can look at people in the world with, whether they're, whatever race they are, whatever culture they are, whatever belief they are, and you can see through all that and still see the spirit within them, you should be able to see the spirit within all spirit itself. It's the same.
Yeah, so true. Such a no-brainer. And that's why it's so amazing to me that I didn't get it until today. So you just brought that up. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome. I'm glad I could help in some way.
I do want to kind of question I have a question for you, because I do work with children a lot. And my question would be, you sort of started seeing spirit. Was your father the first spirit you saw?
No.
Could you go back earlier and have memories of experiences that you can now look back on and go, oh yeah, I was doing this forever?
Yeah, forever. Absolutely. I've been connected to the spirit world the whole time. I wasn't as, connected in the sense that where there was an inner conversation going on, but their spirit's been in my life I remember times, we all have guides, and I don't want to get too deep into guides, but we all have guides. And I remember having a friend named Sam when I was a little boy that I'd play with, that I'd argue to my mom about all the time. Sam says this, Sam says that. We'd argue about this and that. My mom was very devout Catholic, so I would challenge her belief system by what Sam would tell me. And then I remember Sam one day, and he always wore like a long white robe, and I just thought he was my weird friend. But he said, around 5 or 6, I was playing with my cars, and he just said, hey, Shawn, I'm gonna have to go. I'm always gonna be here with you. You won't be able to see or hear me the way you do, but I have to go.
Oh.
I'm like, okay. And this was like, I was there yesterday, like at my mom's house beside the washer and dryer, because this is where it happened. And then a big white light appeared and he was gone. And I've never felt more alone in my life, because I lost my best friend and who I played with. And, I didn't know where he went. I couldn't understand that. And, but in order for me to kind of be the child that I needed to be in life, he had to kind of step away.
Right.
And I also remember my great grandparents after they passed, because they used to come visit me in Nova Scotia from Newfoundland. And after they passed, I would see them or hear them in my room. And it would be dark. And I make sure we'd have 3 night lights on. And because when the night lights were on, it wasn't as bad. But as soon as I went to sleep, my mom would come and turn them all off. And then I'd be like, what the heck? And then my great grandparents would be standing there having a conversation. They were kind of shadows, but I knew it was them. And they weren't there scaring me. And I would tell my mom, I said, Nan and Pop were here last night talking in my room, and I can't sleep. She says, well, they just love you. They're just spending time with you because they love you. I'm like, okay, that's good. But why are they keeping me up? And she says, well, just tell them to go.
Yeah.
So what happened was one night, I remember them talking again, and I pretended I was asleep because I didn't want them to know that I could hear them, because I thought they would start talking to me. So I remember them, and I could hear them moving through the room, and then they stopped talking, and somebody ran their fingers through my hair. And so anyway, I'm thinking in my head, oh my God, please let it be Mom, please let it be Mom, please let it be Mom. And then I opened my eyes, my door was shut, all my night lights were off. And I said, okay, that's it. Backflip off the bed in my mom's room. And I said, Mom, that's it. They just touched me. This is like a whole different ball of wax here. They can't be in my room talking, keeping me up. And she goes, well, what do they do? I said, well, she took her fingers and went like this through my hair. And she goes, well, she said, Shawn, that's just, she just loves you. I'm like, okay. She said, well, tell them to go. So I said, Nan, Pop, I love you, but please don't come visit me anymore. And that was the last time I seen them.
Oh, wow.
That was the last time. I've seen them later in life, but since I was a little boy, and I actually even feel when they were there because they did love me. They were spending time with me. I was their oldest great grandchild that they met and loved dearly in life. So they were just visiting. It often was around 3 o'clock in the morning. And I think even running their fingers through my hair was like, it was almost like an endearment, a mother would do with love,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it was just, they were saying goodbye. So even though I asked them to not be around anymore, I feel like they knew that they couldn't continue this way.
Mm-hmm.
And I always still slept with my nightlights on, mind you, but I never was bothered too much after that. And it wasn't until my dad died, then everything kind of went, it got a little strange again.
I think that's the scariest part for people, right? Is that they don't understand, especially at a young age, why is this happening? A lot of people say to me, well, why is this person here? Why are they coming to say hello? Why are they trying to, a lot of times we don't know why they're there. They're coming out of love. Most things aren't scary. if we try to have to figure out why it's happening, then it can, we can get into that that struggle with, I need to understand what's happening here. But it's true. And I love that you shared that with everybody, because that's one of the biggest things. I have a child right now who's going through the same. Every morning around 3 o'clock, she's being woken up and she just keeps hearing people speaking. And so she'll go out into the hall and look around. And of course, now she's wide awake and doesn't want to fall back asleep, but she doesn't know who it is and why they're there and what they're trying to do. And why are they talking every morning at 3 a.m.? So it can get frustrating, I'm sure, but I think it's true. We have that power. But what I took out of your message was ask them to go, trust they're there with love. And, if they don't need to be waking us up in the middle of the night, then ask them not to do that, so that's all we have to do.
Exactly. And that's what I had to kind of do. And not that they were haunting me or hurting me or trying to scare me. They were just there with love.
Yeah.
And visiting. I mean, I think, when I have great grandkids and I'm in the spirit world, I'm going to be hanging out with them too.
Yeah.
Because I love them. I'm going to want to be like watching over them. I mean, and when they're asleep, that's probably the best time to come. So they're not, not hearing me or feeling me around in that sense. And I'll just have moments where I visit and just see them. So it's not weird to think that this is some strange thing.
Yes.
If I can imagine myself doing it to my own grandkids and great grandkids down the road, I can understand why they would do it to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've actually had a conversation with my grandson and granddaughter and told them that, we talked about death. And, I explained to them that when that happens, expect me to show up. And they're like, okay, Emma, that's perfect. And I'm like, good. So we're clear. I'm going to be there and I'll be there a lot.
Yeah. But I think it's good with kids, like you said, to start that conversation.
Absolutely.
What you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with, setting boundaries and speaking to spirits. I hear you. I'm grateful that you're visiting me, but like you said, I love you, but I don't want you waking me up at 3 a.m.
Yes.
Come visit me when I'm doing something else and I'm busy. It's nice that I can hear you, but don't talk to me while I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
So we were just curious about your Spirit Talk. So you're in the second season of Spirit Talker, the show. And is there anything exciting that you want to share with us about that?
Well, I don't know when it's coming out. I just literally finished filming the 13th episode yesterday. And we went to 13 different Indigenous communities in Eastern Canada in the bubble because of COVID.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a difference between season 1 and season 2. Season 1, I did live shows and I would read people in a live setting. And then the producers would say, okay, they would pick 3 readings out of the 13 or 14 readings that I would do in a live show. And because of the story or the content, they would say, okay, we're going to highlight these ones and only highlight 2 on the show out of the 3. But I think they all should be on the show myself, but I'm a little biased. So this year, it was random. What they did was have everybody in the community put in their names who wanted to be part of the show to put their name in. And then they would draw from a hat 4 different names, and they would be able to bring their family up to 3 people. And then I would do 4 family sessions. Again, on the show, instead of having the live show, and then I don't meet them until they physically sit down in front of me. So they sit down, I'm introduced to them, and then I explain the process, and then that part might not be seen on TV because every reading that I do that is one-on-one or wherever, I explain the process of how this language works and how it comes through myself to help people understand how I'm getting this or that or whatever. And then I move into the session where I say, well, you ready? Do you have any questions before I get started? And they say no. And then I focus, take a breath, and just let go and trust spirit. And then I mean, whatever comes through comes through. And I'm always surprised what comes through because I have to trust. And again, it's about following those little breadcrumbs to understanding the bigger message or the bigger picture. And I'll talk about one. And I don't want to get too hard because it was my last reading of the season, and it was very difficult. Unfortunately, these young ladies, or these ladies, it was a mom and her daughter, and they've been sexually assaulted in life, and even the mom who was sexually assaulted in the past by a priest, unfortunately, and she ended up losing her life. And her daughter was in foster care and didn't get to see her mom while she was passing away, even though she was across the street and wasn't allowed out of the home that she was in. There's a lot of trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're connecting in the spirit, there's a lot of love, but there's also a lot of healing that takes place through these messages, the information that comes through to spirit. And they were there to connect to her mom and her father. And unfortunately, her mom and dad both were alcoholics. She has been an alcoholic in her life. And her daughter at a very young age, who's also was sexually assaulted as well, unfortunately. So there's, and I like to say, sometimes it's what I call family karma. And it's rippled down through generations. And it's about working with people and helping to end the karma so the cycle doesn't continue. Because I can see it playing out in a sense. And so anyway, I talked to the mom, but then when I went to talk to the daughter, something had come through. And it's a heavy energy, of course. But if spirit brings it up, spirit wants to talk about it because this is where the healing needs to take place in their life. This is where they're stuck. Mm-hmm. And that's often where spirit will come through to help people. They love you. They're going to validate messages. But if they bring up something very specific, it's because there's an energy you're stuck here with and you need to move through in order for you to be fully engaged in life, and that cycle ends of alcoholism or drugs or whatever it may be. They're going to show me something. So I didn't know what it was. And I already talking to the mom and her daughter. And then there was this young girl that came through, and she was very profoundly trying to get my attention, even because I was talking to the mom in spirit. I was because sometimes I have to pick and choose, right? If there's a few people trying to get my attention, but I'm really speaking to this girl. This girl is here. I can feel her, but she's just going to have to hold off for a little bit. And then she yelled from spirit, and the whole crew heard her from spirit world, and it scared the crew actually. And then only she yelled, the light on the ceiling was moving by itself. Wow. And then the curtain opened up by itself. Oh, wow. And it's because I wasn't listening to her.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to this other lady in spirit. I mean, she wasn't trying to scare anybody. Yeah. It's like, I'm here. You need to hear me. You need to know that I'm here. I need to get the message to my friend. So I then created space for her to get that message through. And then she had taken her life, unfortunately, which is a heavy energy in itself. And she had struggled out with herself too. And then she showed me this field with these trees. And I didn't know where she was going with it. And the lady who I told to, this image that I had in my mind that came through so clear, she then cried and said, well, that was where I was assaulted. And I haven't been able to go in the woods or out in the field, or I haven't been able to embrace that in life. Mm-hmm. So is it random that she's coming through and that she's showing me this? Absolutely not. This is the greatest space for healing that can take place right now for this young girl. And she struggled with this. So I worked on helping her to see self-love. And that's what her friend was trying to come through with, is that how she has to love herself. Mm-hmm. And, and get the healing, maybe see a psychologist and therapist as well, not just a medium, but, fully get all the help that you can get to actually be better in life. But working with the spirit and the messages come through, there was a shift that took place in her, and I could feel it. And you could just feel this this air that comes out where there's there's something stuck in there, and it's just released. Mm-hmm. And there's moments like that, not all readings are fluffy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sometimes readings are hard. And do I judge her? No. Do I judge the mom? Do I judge anybody? No. I love them unconditionally. And despite what they have been through or the trauma they've been through, it's really serving that person so they can help heal, so they can be engaged in life, so that they can be in a better space where they feel like they're here to do what they need to do. Mm-hmm. And sometimes there's blockages, and it was just a profound reading. And the young girl that was trying to get my attention, that hasn't happened all season. Now there's lighter ones too that happen in the season. We actually have, and because I was talking, we didn't get it because I have a mic on when I do my sessions, and the people have a mic on. There's even a mic over the table. But because I was talking when she yelled, we didn't get a good, clear copy of her voice because it was about 2 or 3 feet behind me when she yelled.
Yeah.
Even the camera guy, which he was startled. But it's just a person.
Imagine.
Yeah.
It's just a person. Hey, I'm here. I need you to connect to my friend. And another story I'll tell about, we were lobster fishing this year because I'm learning about my Indigenous culture on the show. And I get to do Indigenous things. So we were out lobster fishing in Lennox Island of PEI. And I was talking to a girl who was measuring lobsters because there's a food fishery within the community itself where people can, the Indigenous fishermen go out to fish, but they give the lobsters to the people in the community. You can put your name on a list. And because a lot of Indigenous communities are not necessarily rich or have a lot of money or, you know, and sometimes they struggle to be even fed. So there's a lot of community support where there's food that is provided by the community itself. And lobster was one of those things. And while I was talking to the girl who's measuring the lobster, I see this young girl in my mind and, you know, she's laughing. And I'm like, oh my God, this girl must be your friend that wants to come through. She has this huge boisterous laugh. And then I heard her. And I'm like, oh my God, I just heard her. And so I'm telling everybody, I said, you guys hear? They're like, no. I said, go back. So they go back on the audio and they're listening. And right when I say, you can hear her going, ha, 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 like in the background. Wow. We actually recorded her laughing. And I mean, was that fearful? No, this girl is like laughing, like full of joy. It was just, she was laughing so loud, I was able to actually hear her with my ears, but it was actually be able to be recorded as well. And sometimes spirit can come through like that. Is that a ghost? No, it's this girl's friend coming through the spirit world. And I think there's a lot of shows sometimes out there where we may think this is a ghost or that's a ghost or whatever. It could be your family. It could be your ancestors. It could be people that are visiting you that are coming through. They love you. They're around you. They want you to know they're around. It's not, it's not dark. It's love. And whether it's like a heavy energy, whether there's healing or there's this lightheartedness, whether there's laughter. I mean, it's, you know, whatever we as a medium and the energy that's coming through, we work with that and we honor that. And we go there and, you know, with unconditional love from ourselves for those people and help them to be better in life after they leave us. And that's, as a spirit talker, as a medium, as a psychic medium, I mean, that's what I feel like this job is helping people heal and bridging the worlds and validating that connection, not just for us, but when they walk out of that room with them, they know spirit is real. And that has shifted their lives where they now have a relationship themselves with their people. And you help them understand that relationship where they can talk to mom, dad, or sister, friend, or whoever. And I feel a great honor that, you know, this spirit trusts me and trusts you. I feel honored by this connection. And I feel so blessed to be part of the process. It's a gift. And I think when people say, when you have this ability, the gift is not the ability. The gift is to be part of that whole process, to be connected to spirit, but connected to the people and to be part of that healing. That is the true gift.
Yeah, you know, I think that is exactly it. You know, I think maybe potentially we can all kind of get some of these messages here and there, those little breadcrumbs that you kind of get. But if you can take exactly what you're doing and take your whole heart and soul, because I can feel it from you, Shawn. I can feel every single time. I know it's an honor for you. I can feel it coming from you. The entire time I'm speaking to you, I have had literal goosebumps the entire time. It just comes out of you. So that being able to convey that to the person that's sitting in front of you and healing through spiritual healing is a blessing. So anybody that's able to have that experience, and it is very transformative, you know, with yourself, with your spiritual outlook, with whatever it needs to be is what it's going to be transformative for. And there's so much healing and release and surrender from that. And it is, you can feel and see that that comes out of some people during that moment. You know, it could have been random, you know, randomly. I was doing a session with someone's father, and I still will never forget this. I'm in this moment and he's trying to talk about him healing in the moment of his passing over into the spiritual. And all of a sudden, randomly, I hear pink underwear. And it was so like, I just thought, oh my goodness. I looked at her and I said, I don't know what just happened, but I had to tell you pink underwear. And she said to me, she said, okay, I just said to him, if you're truly here, tell me what color underwear I'm wearing. Like, she almost died because she said, I cannot believe it. So I kind of looked at her and I said, what color? And she goes, they're pink. Like, they're pink. And I just thought to myself, in my moment, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm speaking to this father for you, and he's trying to give you this, but in your head, you're thinking, tell me what color underwear I'm wearing, Dad.
Exactly.
And he did.
Right.
And so, you know, it's beautiful in that moment. We don't know what they need. We just know we have to be the messenger and the medium in between to give it, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it doesn't mean that we know everything.
No.
We don't. It's about trusting what comes through and honoring it to the best of our ability, and then it will play out as it's supposed to.
Yes.
And I mean, there's no way you can understand pink underwear. Like,
No.
what are you going to do with pink underwear? Literally.
Exactly. That's what I just kind of like, what?
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. I love those little moments.
Yeah. Yeah. They're
They're
so
fun. They're fun to be part of those little moments.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna share, because I've got the show playing and I've got some comments here, and I've got Vicky Garland. Amber is saying, do you remember in our reading, Amber, you blurted out, her breasts are fine, and we both looked at each other weird.
And that's a moment that I don't understand, but I'm glad you did.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of comments on here about how amazing, how wonderful you are, Shawn. Obviously. But no, this is really great. I think we've woke a lot of people up today with your wisdom.
Oh my goodness, such wisdom.
Yeah.
I hope, and I don't want anybody to think that anybody's better than anybody in any way.
No.
It's about service and just
That's right.
honoring it from your heart. It's not a contest, like in any sense that nobody's better than greater than, and whether you're a beginner or somebody who is well versed, that we're on a journey through life ourselves, but include spirit and trusting spirit and trusting that connection and working with it, because it's, you know, it'll shift your life. It literally will, but you have the ability to shift so many other people's lives too when you start to really connect with it and honor that process.
Absolutely.
I cannot wait, because you, Shawn, are going to be in the Spiritual Excellence Halos of 2021. So if every single one of you fans out there of Shawn's wants to come and see what he has to say, he will be one of our featured speakers next year. I can't remember. I think it's October 2nd, 2021. And Shawn, you're just going to share more of this wisdom, right? You're going to have that moment where you're able to just talk on whatever subject that you want and
well, I have no
share
problem
more.
talking, that's for sure.
Yeah.
If anything, I probably talk too much.
No, you know what? It doesn't matter, because whatever you're saying, you're supposed to be saying. That's how I take it. It's whatever you're saying is what you're supposed to be sharing. So
When it needs to come through, spirit will put it through. It'll come through the way as it's
yes.
supposed to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Shawn, how do our people find you? What is your website? Where's your social media?
Well, my website is shawn-leonard.com, and the links to, you know, Facebook or Instagram or whatever is on my website as well. So you can always go there. And I mean, my book is called The Language of Spirit.
Yes.
It's on Amazon.ca, and it's on Chapters Indigo and Barnes and Noble. And actually, because of being on the show, and I'm going to give these to you guys, I'm going to copy them, but these are book stubs. And I have 2 digital copies of my book that I'm going to give away for free, or you're going to give away for free.
Woo!
But so I'm going to email you the links that people can get to get these for free. And but yeah, they'll contact you to get that digital copy. And I don't know if you guys will have a draw or how you work that out. However you work that out.
We'll make them do something challenging. No, not too challenging.
Exactly, yeah. Yes. Guess the lottery numbers. That would
yeah,
be
exactly. You can get that.
They have to be winning. They have to be winning lottery numbers if they
yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, that is so generous of you. I know, like, I'm getting that book regardless. So that is on my list. But yeah, Liz and I will share something so that 2 lucky winners can get Shawn's book, The Language of Spirit, and read more about all of the things that he has to share with us. And yeah, take his advice. Let spirit be part of your world, and trust and no fear, just love.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you so much, Shawn. Thank you. And I look forward to the Halos in October.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me to be part of this and the future and the Halos as well. So thank you.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
Thank you, Shawn.
And you know what we will also do? We will share your link in the film comments here, as well as your show, how to find it too, so that people can watch Spirit Talker.
Well, if you haven't watched the first season, you can go to APTN Lumi. So APTN Lumi, LUMI.ca. And I think you can sign up for the first week for free. And then it's like $5 a month after that. But if you binge watch in a week, you can watch the whole first season.
Perfect. I can't wait. I've already been watching the first season, so I can't wait for the second season to come out. So it'll be exciting. But thank you so much, Liz. It's always fun, no matter what. And we got on, guys. That was the goal.
I know.
Technology.
But you know what's so funny is the very first story that he shared with us was about computers. And do you think maybe that's why? Because that was the epic. It was an epic story to share. Like, we had a lot of wows on the comments from that story. So just for the viewers, we had such a challenge getting on today. That's kind of
that's what made me think of the story. I was like, well, maybe I should tell that story because I think it'd probably be a good one.
Very fitting.
So spirit working through us once again. I love it.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Shawn and Amber. I love you.
Love you. Thank you.
Bye.